Good afternoon and welcome to Legacy After the Locker Room. I'm your host, Kayla Bradham, here today with 6-year NFL veteran Reggie Rusk. Good afternoon, Reggie.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm so glad that you're with us today. So much to talk about. I want to get right to the point. You made it to the NFL, graduated from University of Kentucky, but got your start in JUCO. Reggie, everybody says you can't make it into the NFL. You can't get into the combine from a junior college. Tell us your story.
Yeah, I was born in Galveston, Texas, and raised in a single-parent household. And sports was the outlet that allowed me to be a energetic kid and get out there and just have fun. And of course, when you're young, you're just playing. You don't know what's going to happen or the NFL. I didn't think about any of those things. When I got to high school, I was one of the better athletes, and I was placed on varsity as a freshman. But again, I didn't know what sports, what that vehicle would do for my life. I just enjoyed playing. I was competitive, so I played in football. I was moved up to varsity as a sophomore and had pretty good success. But at the end of it, my senior year, I had no offers to go to college. And to that point, I had never even had the conversation with my coaches until my senior year. Coach Rusty Dowling took a head coaching job at Texas City. And when he took that head coaching job, my life basically changed from that moment, even though I didn't know that my life was changing. At the end of my senior year with no college offers, Coach Dowling called me to his office and he asked me, was I interested in playing college football? And being naive, I was like, sure, not thinking anything of it. I do know that I wanted to continue to play and also receive an education. So what we did was, back then we had VHS tapes. I don't know, some of your listeners may be younger and they may not know exactly what VHS tapes are. We made a highlight tape with 2 VHR sets, and we made the highlight, and he knew a coach out in California, Coach Reggie Rusk, who was a very successful coach out in California at a junior college called San Francisco City College. And he sent my tape out, and Coach Rush loved everything, but really didn't have room for another safety. But when he looked at my tape, he saw some of the plays that I made on meaningless plays on special teams, and he said he would take a chance with somebody who played that hard. So that was my introduction into college football, was based off of a play that most people wouldn't go hard. So when I work with kids now, I always tell them, you never know who's watching every single play that you have, because I wouldn't have gotten into college if it wasn't for that one play. So when I went up there, I didn't have any money. I was, like I said, a single parent household. I didn't know what to expect. And I went up there just wanting to take the opportunity, and I also didn't want to let Coach Dowling down by going up there and not taking full advantage of that opportunity that he had presented for me. So when I went up there, man, I just took a chance and found a great mentor in Coach Rush.
I love it, Reggie. And I think it's interesting. There's a little bit of feedback on my end today.
Okay,
What have you been doing today, Reggie?
A little bit. Oh, today's been an experience already. So I mentor some kids at a local school that I grew up, the city that I grew up in, and I started coming here about 2 years ago, and I told them when I first got here that I wasn't going to just come and they wouldn't see my face again. So I always come back. I speak to the kids. I mentor them. And so I have a great relationship with the coach here. And so we thought about planting a garden, and we came here today to plant the garden and have some of the kids also plant the garden with us, so they can now see what it's like to not only put the sweat equity in, but see the benefit of learning how to fend for yourself and learning how to put that hard work in starting at an early age. So 2 years ago when I came here, I told them that this will not be the only time that you see me. I'm going to always come back. I'm going to always provide some type of mentorship for you guys. So we've been doing that. We've been bringing in guest speakers. I've brought in a lot of other people to come in and give back to these kids, and it's working out. The coach, he called me a couple weeks ago, and he said that the kids' grades are a lot better. They're working as a unit now. They can see all of the hard work that they're putting in. Now they see a vision for their futures. So that made me feel really, really good about being able to come and give back to my hometown, basically.
Reggie, I love it. So you didn't stop after retirement, and that's what this show is all about. It's the legacy after the locker room. So 6 years in the NFL, a lot longer than most guys, and hitting the pavement hard, rolling up your sleeves. You do motivational speaking. You're a humanitarian. You've written some books. Tell us about the books you've written, Reggie.
So the book that really matters the most, I've been a part of a few other projects, but the book that mattered the most was this book. This is the Recruiting Playbook. This was my first book, but this was the book that was in my 10 years ago that I said I wanted to be an author, and this was the book that made all of that happen. I've worked with kids for a lot of years now, and there's a lot of adults out here that are taking advantage of these kids. So I want to I wanted to write this book so any kid could pick this book up and figure out how to help themselves with their own recruiting. Recruiting is changing. It's evolving, and now with the kids having access to the internet, they can get themselves out there and they can do a lot of the work for themselves and not have to pay thousands of dollars to people who are just feasting off of these families who more times than not don't have the extra money to spend. So for $25, I felt like I did a great job, from the reviews, of laying out a solid game plan for any student athlete who's looking to be recruited. And this is coming from a person who was not recruited and started to understand how the recruiting process works and the things you as a regular student athlete can do every day to improve your recruitment. So this book is definitely, it's something that, I take a lot of pride in because, I put a lot of information in it, and I think it's going to help a lot of kids.
And again, the title of that book is The Recruiting Playbook for anybody who's catching the podcast and not watching the live stream. Reggie, if people want to get their hands...
And it became a number one bestseller.
Yes, it did.
It became an Amazon bestseller.
I love it. Reggie, if people want to order the book, how are they going to get their hands on it?
Of course, you can go through Amazon, but I would prefer that they go through my website. That way I can autograph each copy because I'm appreciative of those who are spending, even if it's $1. I'm appreciative of those people who are spending that money to read my book. So my website is www.thestudentathlete.org. And you can go there and you can... Okay, thestudentathlete.org.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All
And you
right.
can order the hard copy, and I will autograph each copy that goes out.
Reggie, thank you so much again for our listening audience. To get an autographed copy of the book for $25, www.thestudentathlete.org. Reggie, I just want to talk to you as a parent, as a single parent. We hear all the time, and I'm in the schools, I'm in high school, hearing there's no way any kid is getting into the NFL without starting at a D1 school. You're proof that that's not the case. What is your wisdom for the students or the parents who might be watching saying, there's just no way, I can't afford to send my kids to college, or a kid who's saying my grades just aren't good enough?
I mean, that's what junior college is for. It's a stepping stone for that bigger dream. At the time when I went to the junior college and I chose to take that route, I didn't know that the NFL was in my future. I just went there and I took advantage of the opportunity. And I would tell any young student athlete, take advantage of every opportunity that is out there for you. And there's plenty out there. Opportunities, they don't go away. There's other people who are taking advantage of those opportunities. So when I went to my junior college, I got with a mentor who was a coach, and he just brought something out of me and helped me see farther than the vision that I had for myself. And that's the great thing about coaching. Coaching allows us, with the experience we have now, because we've been through so much, now we help these kids see the vision that we can see for them. And I'll tell any kid, you can go to junior college and you can make it to the NFL because it has been replicated thousands and thousands of times. You just have to be dedicated to your craft, you have to be dedicated to yourself, and you have to be very committed to the goals and accomplishments that you're looking to have. You have to be dedicated and committed to it. I was one of those people that was very dedicated to what I was doing. I didn't let people distract me. So I would say for any young kid, set your goals early. Set those goals and write them down every day. You can see them. And when you have an opportunity, take advantage of those opportunities. And don't be afraid to ask questions from people who have been where you're trying to go. That's one of the biggest things. I think people want to recreate the wheel when you don't have to. And if you're good enough, the NFL will find you. But I always tell my kids to be proactive in everything that they do. So it increases your opportunities to be seen. When I came out, we didn't have it. So the opportunities were maybe a little bit more limited. But now with the internet, here in Texas can be seen by colleges all over the country. So you have to be very proactive with your recruiting, and you have to be committed to the cause. You can't let anything disrupt your goals and what you're trying to achieve.
I think that's great advice. I want to take just a second, remind our listeners, this is the Legacy After the Locker Room podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Bradham, here today with 6-year NFL veteran, author of the Recruiting Playbook, Reggie Rusk. We are in partnership with the Sports Philanthropy Network. Reggie, I appreciate the advice that you gave to student athletes. Let's switch that around just a little bit and talk about advice for coaches. As a coach, what really needs to happen to get kids ready to get recruited?
First of all, coaches have to understand that times have changed. Kids are not built mentally the way we were. And that goes with life. Things have changed. Things have just more advanced. So these kids, we have to approach them in the same manner. Kids are very smart. They're very aware of how people treat them. And if you're the hard-nosed coach like back in the past, that may not work well with kids from today. So you have to really show these kids that you have a vested interest in getting them to the next level. I have always been able to connect well with kids because I always text them. I see how they're doing. I'm communicating with them. So what it does is it builds a relationship. And now the kid feels like Coach Reggie has my best interest at heart. Not my football interest so much, but my life interest. He cares about me. So what happens is that kid now is going to do everything that you say because he feels like you're trying to make him successful. And I say that because that's how my coach did for me. That's what he did for me. And that's what I relay my coaching style like. You can't be hard-nosed with everyone. You have to know each kid on your team, and you got to know how to relate to those kids. Some kids I can come at a little bit more aggressively because they can take it, they can handle it. And then some kids I have to sit down and really have a conversation with about what it is that my vision for them is and the vision for the team. So I think if a coach really sits back and looks in the mirror and says, how can I make my team more successful? He's gotta start with himself and understand the kids that he's dealing with are different. They're so different now than they were. And I think if he does that, he'll have a lot more success. Case in point, I started a 7-on-7 team a couple years ago because I felt like this was a great way for me to really integrate some of the programs that I wanted to run. So when we started the 7-on-7 team, I took the kids that nobody else wanted. I took the kids that have no stars. They're not ranked with rivals. They're not ranked at top colleges, none of that. And anytime we go to a tournament and we're playing kids that are 3, 4, and 5-star kids, my kids come and they compete. They compete every day. They compete to the end. And I equate that to our coaching. If you can take a kid, I think any coach can take a kid that's a 5-star, he's talented, and having success. What can you do with a kid who's not talented per se and make him believe in himself and go out and play just as well as the kid that's a 5-star? You know, the NFL is full of kids that didn't have stars. So I know that coaching, I know the things in the programs that we're running, I know they work because those are the kids that have a chip on their shoulders. They just need guidance. They need someone to believe in them. So if you model your coaching that way and you implement programs, you're gonna have a more successful program. And I guarantee you the kids are gonna always come and feed back into your program. And that's how you have a successful program.
Reggie, thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important. I see the same thing in the classroom. I think it's a universal truth. Treat kids like people and you will get the results. It's all about belief and encouragement and support. So thank you for doing your part, rolling up your sleeves to create hope and possibility through sports. I love what you were saying about the flag football. And you know I support you, but one of the things that I'm really proud of you for doing is including girls in your program. Football is not just for boys. Tell us how you're including girls.
Definitely. I have a daughter. I have one child, and she's a 21-year-old, and I'm very proud of her. I'm proud of her accomplishment, everything that she's done. I believe in that women should get their fair shake in any sport. From my experience, women athletes, they look at things from a different lens. So when I trained female athletes, they know that when they go to college, there's nothing after college as far as the sports world. unless you're in the WNBA or something along those lines. And I do have one of my girls that's participating in the WNBA now, John Turner. She plays for the Phoenix team. But they have a more of a realistic look at life than boys. Boys always assume that they're going to make the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, but that statistics say that that's not going to happen for most of us. It's a small percentage. But when girl athletes, they go and they take the opportunity to earn that free education and they get their degrees. So what I want to do is, I know the NFL is a big deal, a big push on females in football, and I'm just going to bring that to my city. And so I was approved to be an owner operator of an NFL flag football, and so mine is co-ed, and I'm going to do a big push to bring women flag football into my league. I think I want to have it where it's fun, it's exciting. I want to see those girls be able to play at the highest levels. And I think we're coming to a point in society where women are being brought up where they should be. And I'm a firm believer that everybody's created equal. I don't care what anyone says. I want my daughter to be able to do and accomplish anything that her mind can dream up. And I want men to feel the same way. I want them to, we all came from mothers. So if you can't look at your mom and say, I want my mom to be the greatest of all time at whatever it is that she's doing, there's something wrong with that.
Reggie, thank you. Thank you. And also a big shout out to Sedona from Oregon, who really got the word out about the disparity in the NCAA. Just a huge shout out on behalf of the Sports Philanthropy Network for maybe this is the first time ever where it's been so consciously aware, universally across all levels, regardless of familial status, regardless of gender identity, regardless of family income, school that we go to, people are finally understanding, whoa, there is a big difference between men's and women's college sports. And Reggie, I just want to say thank you for doing your part to bridge the gap. Now, you and I know what people are going to say is, Coach Reggie, here's the problem. You get a woman athlete and she gets a concussion. It's going to take her a lot longer to recover. We need to worry about player safety, and that's why we need to take care of these women, even if it's flag football, Coach. Reggie, how would you respond to how you're going to keep these women safe in the league?
Hey, it's not just women needing to be safe. I'm a former professional athlete, and now I know better than I did when I was in my 20s as far as mental illness from repeated head trauma. We see it every day in the news. I mean, 2 days ago, a former NFL player went out and killed several people and then killed himself. It is a problem. It is a huge problem. And people do not understand. I myself, I'm very transparent. I go to a therapist. I've been depressed and I'm still dealing with stuff. It takes a lot to just get up every day and be positive and look to help other people when you're trying to help yourself. So it's not just a female issue, it's a people issue. We have to take hold of this issue and rectify it the best way that we can. So when we have athletes that come in to our flag football league or whatever we do, we're gonna use the best equipment that we can find that's gonna protect them. And now we know better. We know a lot better, so we're going to implement the things that we know that are going to be safety first for those athletes. So, I just actually spoke with Game Changer a game breaker, they helmets, and these are the same helmets that my 7-on-7 kids wear. So my kids as young as 5 are going to be required to wear headgear, because think about years and years and years of pounding your head, and then when you're 30, 40, you start experiencing memory loss, and you start there's a lot of issues that I can go on and on all day. Things that I personally experience is not fake, not something that people are just throwing out here. It is real. And I would never want someone to experience some of the things that I've experienced personally. And I'm not even speaking on other people's shoes, I'm saying my own. So I would not want any kid to grow up and have to deal with the same symptoms and things that we have to deal with. We didn't know any better. And no one was teaching us these things until way later. So now if you know better, you'll do better. And I'm going to be one of those people that I'm going to do better by everyone that comes in my program. You can rest assured that.
Reggie, I want to thank you for your transparency and your vulnerability. It's definitely a hallmark of a real man to share personal experiences and be very transparent about them. For all of our listeners who are interested in athlete safety and concussion management, you can go back to season 1 of Legacy After the Locker Room and catch former NFL Kyle Offrey from Game Breaker talking about the safety, the helmets, and the concussions. Again, that's on season 1 of Legacy After the Locker Room. Reggie, we have about 3 minutes left in the podcast. I want to ask you a favor, and I want to ask you for your parting thoughts and words of wisdom to the listeners. The favor. I ask every guest on Legacy After the Locker Room to partner with Sports Philanthropy Network and myself on behalf of Special Olympics. It's a cause very dear to my heart. And Reggie, I'm going to ask you, will you please make an autograph donation to Special Olympics on behalf of Legacy After the Locker Room?
I most certainly will.
Looks like there's a little freeze. We'll wait for just a second for the internet to catch up. No problem. Cliffhanger.
Okay.
There we go. So, folks, here we ask the big question, autograph donation, and we leave you on the edge of your seat saying, what will it be? What will Reggie donate? Again, Reggie is in his car. Thank you, Reggie. Reggie is in his car today because he was helping the area youth in his community with a gardening project. Got out of the gardening project into his car to take the podcast. So, Reggie, thank you. I'm so happy to bear with you for internet problems because you're doing great, great things in your community. The question was, will you partner with Sports Philanthropy Network and myself to make an autograph donation to Special Olympics?
I definitely will. I will get a autograph NFL alumni football, and I'll donate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do want to ask you for your words of wisdom, the things that you've gleaned over the years. I do want to remind our listeners that they can follow Coach Reggie Rusk on Twitter at Next Level Sports and on Insta at Coach Reggie _. Again, that's Twitter at Next Level Sports, Instagram at Coach Reggie. I also want to remind our listeners, Reggie, if you'll hold up that book again, the Recruiting Playbook, you can order that off the website and get an autograph copy. To do that, it's at www.thestudentathlete.org. Reggie, final parting thoughts, words of wisdom to our listeners.
Never give up on your dreams. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most athletic. You don't have to be the most talented. You can achieve the greatest things if you believe in yourself. And I learned that firsthand. I never thought that I was the author, but I believed that I could do it, and I've done it. So 4 times. So believe in yourself and just work hard every day, no matter what's going on around you. Make sure that you're writing your goals down and you're checking them off and accomplishing them.
That's great advice. I want to say, Reggie, thank you so much for creating hope and possibility through sports. My name is Kayla Bradham. This is the Legacy After the Locker Room podcast in partnership with the Sports Philanthropy Network with today's guest, 6-year NFL veteran, JUCO Hall of Fame, Reggie Rusk. Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you for having me.